Good evening, everyone. So, as I said yesterday, that the topic that I would be taking today would be about resume building. It's a very important part of your MCA career when you're going to join companies. I think I have already told you all that when you want to join and want to apply for a company on campus or off campus, it's very important for you to submit your resumes or your curriculum vitae. But along with that, you have to first write a cover letter. And how to write a cover letter have already been it has already been mentioned and it has already been told. Okay, now all that we need to do is to look at how to write your resumes. Okay, this is what we need to do now. So before I start with the resume building, okay, it's very important for you people to understand certain terminologies that we use with respect to resume. The pronunciation is not resume, it's rather resume. Okay, it's not resume, it's resume. So you're going to submit your resumes, you're going to submit your CVs, and there is another terminology that is being used these days in industries is they say submit your CVs, resume. Okay, and earlier days it used to be called as biodata, but nowadays there is a slight difference between a resume, a curriculum vitae, as well as a biodata. Okay, so let's start with the first terminology. What is a CV? Okay, CV is an abbreviation of curriculum vitae. Okay, what exactly is that? It includes a summary of your educational and academic backgrounds, as well as teaching and research experience, publications, presentations, awards, honors, affiliations, and other details. So, this is used when applying for academic, education, scientific, or research positions. If you look at the definition of a CV, you will find that you have to include just not your educational qualification but also your academic backgrounds, all the degrees that you have achieved, the experience in research, the number of publications in terms of research papers, IEEE papers, what is your experience with respect to teaching, publications, seminars, awards, presentations, what are the affiliations that you have got. All these things need to be added in a CV. That means it is not for the student who is going to join a company. Okay, CVs are not meant for people who want to join a company. It is basically for people into academic, you can say scientific or research positions. Like suppose I am a scientist. Okay, I want to try into some, I want as a scientist I want to try into some research institute, I want to apply, or I want to apply into an university. You know, if you want to apply job for university or teaching, or you can say it's basically a CV is more useful for people like us who are teaching in an engineering college or any college, or people who are trying for a job in a university or any academic purpose. Okay, so this is a CV, but this is the actual definition of a CV means this. Okay, then what is a resume? Fine, what is a resume? A resume is a 1 or 2 page summary of your skills, your experience, and education. If you look at the definition, you'll come to know that this is what you need to do. That you need to present in a page or a 1 or 2 page. You need to put in all these things in the form of a summary, either in 1 page or 2 page. What are the things? Skills, experience, and education. No publications, no scientific researches being mentioned over here, or no publications, or no seminars, awards, all these things. What do you find in a CV? You won't find. Only three things are important: your skills, your experience, and your education. Okay, so mainly it focuses more on skills and accomplishments. Okay, now the actually if you go to see the vocabulary part of resume, you know, CVs and resumes are interchangeable. Actually, if you go to see, the Britishers are the people who use the word CVs instead of resumes. A resume is a term which is coined by the Americans. Okay, if you look at the language vocabulary part of the word resume and a CVs, resume comes from America, CV comes from the Britishers. Okay, and that's the reason sometimes if you're trying for a company wherein, you know, which is a European based company, they may ask you to submit your CV. Then the question that arises is, what I am teaching you according to the definition, CV is for academic purpose or for people who are academicians. wherein they mention a lot of details regarding their researches and their publications and their awards and achievements and presentations, workshops conducted, etc. Then are you supposed to do that? No. Just let me tell you, and some of the companies they may call some of the companies may call, actually, as I said, if you look at the vocabulary part of it, britishers use the word cv, americans use the word resume. So this how it has, this is how. But technically, what is the basic technical difference between resumes and cvs these days is that cvs are more for academicians and resumes of people who are trying to work in a company or trying to join a company or any other industry for that sake. So CVs are used throughout most of the world. So the technical difference and vocabulary difference, I hope I have cleared you. Now there's another similar terminology that comes, which is very much similar to resumes and CV, is your biodata. Okay. Now I remember when I was very young, okay, I had never come across the word resume, let me tell you, and nor a CVs. Yes, to a certain extent, CVs were used. As I said, resume is a term which is coined by the Americans, but most of the Indians, every time they used to say, I need to know, I need biodata, biodata. You know, this is a very commonly used terminology in India. Nowadays, it's not, but some 2 decades back and all, this word, particular word was very widely used in India. But there is a lot of difference between a biodata as well as a CV and a resume. So biodata is a short form for biographical data. Okay, and it is old fashioned terminology for resume or CV. I told you 20 years, 30 years back, people never knew what is a CV, people never knew what is a resume, but they knew something called as biodata. Biodata means biographical data. So the emphasis in a biodata is on personal particulars, that is your date of birth, your religion, your sex, your race, your nationality, your residence, your marital status, and the like. So biodata is something that gives you complete detail about your personal, complete personal details. You know everything: your father's name, your mother's name, your height, your weight, your religion, your caste, your gender, your marital, everything comes in a biodata. So after mentioning all these details, then comes a chronological listing of education and experience. And this is how biodata used to be presented. First, details about your first comes the personal details, and then comes the education, and then the experience. So the things normally found in a resume, that is specific skill for the job in question, comes last and are seldom included. So nowadays, if you see, biodatas are used. It's not that you cannot use, but mostly biodatas are used in. Can you guess? Can anybody guess where biodata could be used? Where in your, when you're mentioning your personal details a lot? Obviously, the marriage bureaus. Okay, so if you are searching for a bride or a groom, whatever it is, you know the people would like to know your personal details along with your educational qualification and work experience and all these things. Your personal details will be highlighted more. So these days biodatas can also be used, or it is even now it is extensively used. But the purpose of submitting a biodata or writing a biodata is to find a match, a perfect match, or for the marriage purpose. Okay, so this is how the trend has changed. Now coming to writing a resume, what are the things that goes inside a resume? Okay, what is the first thing that comes to your mind when you want to write a resume? Obviously, I've seen that some students, what they do, you know, they open a Word document. Of course, nowadays everybody types a resume, but what the first thing that they do is the main title of the page will be resume or CV or curriculum vitae, which is what you must avoid. You're not supposed to give the heading as resume or CV or biodata. Okay, none of these things goes into the main heading or the main title of your resume. First comes your name, complete name, which has to be highlighted. It should be the biggest. The font size of your name must be biggest. It should be center aligned, preferably. Okay, and the font should be very clear, and your name must be reflected. The moment the person holds your resume in his or her hand, your name must be displayed. Okay, exactly. So name is something that goes as a title of your resume, and the next information that comes exactly below your name would be your contact information. What is your contact information? Obviously, it includes your address, The address, again, you need to mention, as I said, when you're writing your cover letter also, you need to be very specific about your address. Don't give an address where you temporarily are residing. Okay, you have to give a residential address, permanent residential address. Okay, along after the address comes your objective, that the first thing that comes into a resume after the contact information. After the name comes the contact information, and the address. Contact information is nothing but your name. Below that comes the address, and the first subtitle of your resume will be the objective. What is objective? It is nothing but what post you're applying for. Remember, you cannot keep an objective which is very generic in nature. Assume that you're trying in TCS. TCS has asked for candidates to apply for the post of software tester. Then you have to be very specifically telling that I'm applying for the post of, software tester. When you are writing your cover letter, that's the first thing you mention in a paragraph. Okay, that is, I'm applying for the post of software tester as advertised, something like that. So whatever you're mentioning, whatever the job is required, whatever the company needs, post that the company has advertised or they need, that goes into the objective. So be very specific. Okay, don't have, or sometimes, you're simply trying, you're sending your resumes to some companies through some references where they have not asked. There you can give a generic statement. Okay, then comes your summary of qualification. Now, as a fresher, you don't have experience. Okay, so you have to stress on your educational qualification. So next comes the summary of qualification. That is, you have to be very clearly mentioning about your educational qualification. Now, I often find students writing SSLC, PUC, BCA, MCA. Please don't do that. Okay, it's not necessary to write SSLC, PUC, BCA, MCA. Directly you can mention your degree and post graduation degree, because it's understood that when you completed your degree, it means you have completed your PUC, and when you completed your that means you have I mean, it is a step by step process, right? There is no need to mention SSLC, PUC marks in your educational qualification. Okay, in case if you are a person who has double graduation or double post graduation, like for instance, suppose if I'm writing my resume, I'm a double master graduate person, so I will be writing MCA also and MA also. In my case, I will write both, because these are two different streams. Master of Arts is a different stream, Master of Computer Applications is a different stream. So in case you happen to have you are a double graduate, in the sense you have two different graduations or two different post graduations, then you can mention that. So preferably, why is it necessary to put for MCA students? I would recommend you people to tell only BCA and MCA. Don't write SSLC, PUC. Okay, that's not required. Then comes a summary of qualification, which is optional. Now, summary of qualification. Now, usually, we have some additional qualifications, like, I might have done this certification, that certification. I might have done some diploma, some kind of other qualifications other than your university degrees. Other than university degrees, you have any other qualifications, you can mention that in the after comes after the sorry uh, I mean, in the summary of qualifications, you can add this also. Then comes your employment history. Employment history is something which is more important for people who are already having, say, 10 years of experience or more than 5 years of experience. People would stress less on the qualification and more on the employment history. Okay, so I'm sorry. I think I just made a small mistake. Summary of qualification is something what you have, what certifications and diplomas you have done, and or additional qualifications that you have acquired. And employment history should be the content that goes which contains your employment, like which all companies you have worked and from which year to which year. It has to be in a reverse chronological order. Means with the last three experience. Assume that you have 10 years working experience and your previous experience was in Infosys. Prior to that, it was in TCS, and prior to that, it was in Cognizant. So you need to first mention Infosys, then TCS, and then the Cognizant. Don't write Cognizant first and then TCS and then Infosys, reverse chronological order. And then comes the education. So here, the difference between qualifications and education is that qualifications is like what is it that you have acquired over a period of time during your work experience. Now, you may be wondering, why is it that education comes at the sixth point, which is very important. Usually, see, this is the general you can say the format of a resume, because generally people submit resumes are very commonly widely used by people who are more experienced. But for a fresher, as a fresher, I will be showing you sample examples of resumes also subsequently. But then as a fresher, you may not be having summary of qualifications, you may not be having employment history. In that case, fourth and fifth has to be completely eliminated. Directly after the objective comes your education. Okay, so this is how the order goes. Fine, I will show you the types of resumes, and then you will get to know the types of resumes and how they differ from each other. But usually if you are a person who is very well who's having experience more than 5 years or 6 years, then in that case, this is the format that you need to follow. Then after the education comes skills. Skills you have to mention relevant to a job. Okay. Now this is very important. When you're talking about your skills, suppose you are applying for a software company as a developer, then you need to talk about your development skills. Okay. Don't talk about, suppose you may be a very good dancer, or you may be a very good choreographer. That is also a kind of an art which requires a lot of skills, but you don't have to mention the types of skills that you have possessed in the field of art, or in the field of dramatics, or in the field of dance, or music. Okay, that's not required here. Relevant, the skills that you are mentioning should be relevant to the job that you're applying for. Don't say that, I'm a skilled choreographer, I have choreographed so many things. No, you don't have to tell that. If as a developer, what are the skills that you have acquired over a period of time? Okay, what are the types of, I mean, that is how you have to be very tactful when you're writing a resume. Then comes the activities, like if there are any things, any additional things, like you're a member of some professional community or some professional body, all those things. And at the end you have to mention your references, which is optional. Where all the things are written optional, it's not mandatory. Those things should go inside your resume, so you can omit all those things. Okay, so now let us go back. Let us discuss each part one by one. So contact information. So when you are talking about the contact information, as I said, the title of your resume must be your name. Okay, and exactly below your name must be your mailing address, the address where people can, it's a permanent address. And then you can mention the day, phone. Now, as I said, some people use different types of phones. Okay, at daytime they have a different phone, at night time they have a different phone. Okay, your cell phone number, I mean phone, I'm talking about phone here means telephone. Okay, cell phone. Okay, you can give your you can mention your cell phone, fax and email. Fax generally nobody has, but if you have, you can mention an email ID, very important these days. Okay, so these are the things that goes inside the contact information. And then, as I said, objective, the first subtitle of your resume must be your objective. Objective is nothing but, it should be the statement that you write in an objective must be very much particular with the company that you are applying. If you are applying for, say, for Cognizant as a software developer, Java software developer, then you need to write that applying, what is your objective to be a to work as a software developer, or to work as a Java software developer, or to work as a system analyst. Whatever post you have applied, you have to mention that. Okay, and so it has to be with respect to the particular company where you're applying, in the field of the specific field of employment, and for a specific job. That is what exactly job you're mentioning. After that comes, as I said, summary of qualifications could be, what are the qualifications that you have gained over a period of years as a professional. It could be the publications, awards, and achievements, which is, as I said, is optional, which is not required. So in case you have written some publication, if you are into the field of research, what are the publications that you have done, what are the awards that you have achieved, and what are your achievements, what did you achieve while you were working in a company, what was your contribution, how did you contribute towards the growth of the company. All these comes under the summary of qualification, which is optional. Then comes the employment history. As I said, it should reflect the previous year, you can say previous year job. Suppose, as I said, if you have an experience of 10 years, you have worked in three different companies, you started your career with Cognizant, then TCS, then Infosys. You should not write from 2000 to 2005 Cognizant, and then 2005 to 2008 the TCS, and 2008 to 2020. No, it should be exactly opposite. 2020 to 2018 to 2020, you have to write Infosys. Okay, and then 2015 to 2018, exactly, it's called as reverse chronological order. And in case, if you have any other kind of experience other than your regular employment, maybe as a student you used to work, used to do some kind of part-time job, or you had some kind of military experience, or you did some internships as a student when you were a BCA student, MCA student, you can mention that also. Then comes the educational qualification. Now, as I said, when you talk about educational qualification, mention your degree and master degree. That's it. Don't mention SSLC, PUC, which generally students do. It's not required. So you can talk about the college, okay, or the university. College is affiliated to university. You can talk about your degree or master degree. In case you have done something else other than your college, some you have attended some trade school, okay, and some different types of advanced career training, or some kind of other types of certifications, diplomas, all those things you can mention, and honors and awards, in case if you have received, please do highlight it. It always gives a good impression. So this next comes the education, and after the education comes the skills. As I said, your skills should reflect, uh, you should mention only those skills which are required for you to get into that particular job. Okay, you can distinguish your skills as technical skills, like office machines you can operate, or programming skills that you have. And office skills is like clerical. If a person is applying for some non-technical job, then he or she can mention the office skills he or she has required, like technical skills like filing, data entry, bookkeeping, or accounting, that this is applicable for non-technical people. And then you can talk about the languages. Okay, now here the languages, basically, suppose if you're trying for a job in a foreign country wherein you're expected to know French, or any other language, whichever language, and in case the languages, then organizational skills like events, presentations, seminars. So these are the types of skills, okay, whichever fits you, you need to mention that. What are the, suppose if a person is into sales or marketing from a many number of years, then he can mention his sales skills. Or if a person is into an administrative post, he can talk about his administrative skills. And sometimes what are the licenses that you have got, licenses and certificate. As I said, it should be relevant to the job that you're applying. You can't say that I have a car driving license. Okay, I'm not talking about this type of license. Or certain licenses, like suppose, like, so for example, I'll give an example. Suppose there's a person who is into say who's trying for some kind of you can say this um, I'm not getting the term. Anyways, let me suppose, there are certain license, like suppose I want to become an examiner for IELTS. Okay, I'm just giving an example. So if I want to examine a student who is appearing for IELTS examination, then I need to have the required qualification, certification, and license. Without that, I cannot. So I need to mention that I have acquired this particular license to become an examiner. So like that, there are, for certain professions, there people are not just expecting some certification, but they expect you to have certain license. Okay, so these are the things that you need to talk about or write in your skills. Then comes the optional part, like activities. Are you a member of any professional body or some community or some memberships? Are you some any additional information that you want to add will come here. Any volunteer work you have done, your some kind, whatever additional activities, achievements that you do other than your profession, you can write under the activities section. Okay, so these are the main components that goes inside a resume. Fine. Now, when you're writing a resume, these are the important points that you need to remember. What is the type of paper you need to use? Obviously, A4 size paper, JK bond, good quality paper. Don't use colored paper. Don't use legal or any other size paper. You are supposed to use A4 size paper, blank, white sheet. Don't write with hand. You need to type it. Number of columns that you want to use. You should not write resume in one column. Remember, one column means, I will tell you later on what is the meaning of one column. Preferably try to write your resume in 2 or 3 columns. You should not be writing like a word paragraph. Students completely, that you have to make sure you're inserting a table. Okay, and then table must have 2 3 columns. And I will show you, but you're not supposed to, actually it is recommended that students must use columns. Fonts, what are the type of fonts that you use fonts that are very clearly visible. Because when you there are certain standard fonts like Times New Roman, then there's Arial, then there is uh, You can say Verdana. There are some standard fonts. Don't use very stylistic fonts, and don't use Comic Sans like of kind of fonts which are, which gives a very unprofessional look. It should look very professional throughout your resume. The font must be same, provided suppose the title is, suppose your name is having a different font, you can all your headings should be of the same font. The font size what you're using should be readable. The type of font you're using should be readable. Don't use any kind of coloring and all those things. Underlining should not be used. Okay, whatever tips and tricks I had discussed while using punctuations, you must be using that. Okay, you can use bullet, don't use numbering. Suppose you want to list out your achievements, then when you're listing out your achievements, don't write 1 2 3 4. Don't use numbering, use bullets preferably. And you can use certain graphical elements, to make it look very professional. You can highlight certain things, can be highlighted by using certain graphical elements which gives a very professional look. So these are this is with respect to the writing style. Now when it comes to resume types, we generally categorize resumes into three types. One is chronological. So chronological is a resume wherein you are focusing more on your experience. Second is on education and skills that you have acquired comes at the end. And in a functional resume, okay, you're first stressing on the skills. Okay, now what is the skill? Now if you look at the functional format, you are not at all talking about your education. Can you see that? You can see on my slide that stress is given on the skills. Why are you giving stress on skills? Basically, sometimes it may so happen that you are switching from one type of job to another type of job. Okay, maybe you are into marketing, now you are entering into some other field, some into administrative post. So there, you need to use functional format wherein it's job for a different field. Or if suppose you had a gap of 3 years, you were working and suddenly due to some health issues or so, for you went for some higher education, there is a gap in experience or very little experience, you can basically use a functional format wherein you need to stress more on the skills. Combinational format is something which highlights skills in a particular field and improvement achievement in a specific field. So these are the three types of resumes. I will be showing you these examples of types of resumes in my next slide. So this is all that I had to tell you, theoretical information that I had to tell you with respect to writing a resume. Okay, now I'm going to show you the sample format along with, the types of resumes. Okay, so let's start with that. So here's an example of this first style, chronological. Sorry, this is an example of a style one, wherein the freshers generally can be using this. Now, this one particular style, if you look at this resume, you can see there is no title called as resume. There is nothing like CV or biodata. The main title of this resume is your name, the person's name. Look at this, John Hunter. Now he has used this particular style. As I said, you can use graphical elements. Remember, I said you can use graphical element. Look at this graphical element. He has tried to highlight this. His name has been highlighted with a line of this particular style. Soon after your name should come your address. Look at the address. He has given the address. Okay, and then the email ID. Based on the person to person, if you have to mention your contact number and email ID, that's a different thing. But then there's some samples. Now look at the objective. What is the objective? Be very specific what post you're applying for. To obtain an editorial position with a prestigious publishing house. Suppose this person is trying to get into editorial, he wants to become an editor in a prestigious publishing house. So be very specific. You need not have to mention the company name. It should be a generic statement. What is it? Suppose if you're applying for an editorial post, then mention that I need to, obtain. To obtain, you have to write it in the third person. To obtain, you don't write I want to become an editor. Don't write I and first person and second. Directly say to obtain an editorial position with a prestigious publishing house. So here comes the education. Now suppose if the person is here you can see directly he has come to education. Okay, summary of qualification is not mentioned. In case if you are a fresher with less years of experience, you can directly do this. Look at the education. The person has mentioned this is a style. You can use various types of styles that you want. I want everybody to write your resumes in your own styles. Okay, So this person, see, as I told you, it is every resume must be to more than one column. What is the meaning of more than one column? If I show you the lines in this particular table, see, this is having three columns. So this is called as writing resumes in multiple columns. Okay, so every part. So education, he has mentioned State Cloud State University, the which place it is, Bachelor of Arts in English Literature, and what is his GPA and related coursework. So he has not mentioned anything else. He has not mentioned his 10th and 12th, nothing, only Bachelor of Arts in English and Composition, whatever it is. And as you can see, he doesn't seem to have any postgraduate, so he has only written about his graduation. It is understood that when you are a graduate means you have finished your higher secondary education and your SSLC. Now look at the skills. Now he is trying to talk about the skills. So here in this example, education comes first, then his professional skills. You can see that he has written it in a reverse chronological. Actually, he has experience from 2002 to 2006, but then he has written it from 2006 to 2002. So this is again a two column format. So he has used two column. Actually, if you go to see, it is three columns. Okay, here you can see, if you see the grid lines, you can see he has used two columns. First column for the skills and from which year to which year. So like this, you need to use columns. So edited for the university paper at St. Cloud State University. So all these things are the skills that is, he's talking about the professional skills that he has achieved from the year 2002 to 2006. And then, as you can see, there is no such specific mention about the experience. There is no word called as experience used in this example. Why? Because the person may not have, I mean, he's not focusing on experience, rather he's focusing on the skills, because he wants to get into the editor kind of, he wants to get into the editorial position. For editorial position, it's very important to highlight things which are related to that. So you can see here, edited, then tutored, lower classmate in grammar, because as an editor, you need to be very proficient in grammar and punctuation. See, look at the skills that he has mentioned, only those things which are relevant to get into that particular post. And office skills, proficient in personal computer use, course certified, proficiency in MS Word, typing speed. Also, like this, he has mentioned office skills and professional skills. And then at the end, he has mentioned honors and awards. Okay. So what was his honors? Now see, if you look at the honors and awards also, again, he has used a table. If you're using a table, don't highlight the grid lines. Okay. Again, the two column is being used. If you look at his honors and awards, they are focusing more on his writing skills, or again on grammar, and again something on English communication. Fine. So this is honors and awards. Okay. And then he is talking about the work experience. See, here he has used, look at the columns, how many number of columns he has used three columns. Okay. Look at the style. So this is the name of the company. Okay. What was he working as? Fine, all these details. So this is the style that has been used by this particular person, and the number of pages that he has used is 2 pages, because he has lot of content he has used. It is not necessary that your resumes must be 2 pages, 3 pages. Unless and until it is necessary, you make it. Otherwise, as a fresher, try to keep it to 1 page only. Okay. So this is first style. Now I'll go to the second style. Yeah, here. Now this is an example of chronological resume. If you look at this example, see, look at this again. He has the title of your resume is a name. Look at this style again. The address has been. You can use your own style, provided the resume looks very attractive, very professional. The moment a person looks at your resume, he should feel like, okay, he is the right person. We should hire him. Okay. Now in this example, again, the objective is to obtain an editorial position with a prestigious publishing house. Now same person is writing his resume, but this time he wants to highlight his experience. Okay. So you can see in this example, he has highlighted his experience. Again, he has used two column. The left hand side column is for the subtitles and the right hand is the description. Okay. Now look at that editorial assistant where and details, if because he wants to tell that he's an experienced person, so you want to highlight experience. In this example he has written what are his experience from, again it's a reverse chronological order, he has 2 years of experience, and then he's talking about the skills, and then comes the education. So when are you supposed to use this type of style? Maybe after some 10 years or 5 years down the line, when you already are having plenty of experience and you want to jump from one company to another company, use this style at that time. Okay, so then you are talking about the skills and then comes your education. So this is the second style. Okay, so the first one focused more on the skills. That was an example of a skill based resume. This is an experience based resume. I'll show you the last example now, which is a combination. This is style 3. Okay, now look at this example, the way he has written his resume. He has completely taken his name and address towards the right side. This is a style that he has used. Okay, so he has mentioned the objective again, but in and the profile here you can see it is, as I said, it is neither education based resume nor it is experience based resume. It is something in between. Okay, so here he has talked about his profile. Okay, and then he's talking about his professional experience. Okay, and then the publications, and then employment history is somewhere at the end. Okay, as I said, a combination of both can be used, wherein you want to talk about more about the skills and some achievements which are relevant whenever you have a gap in your job, or whenever you are switching from one to another. You need not stick to educational, or you need not stick to skill. You can use something in between. Okay, it all depends upon the way you write. It all depends upon the context. You have to study the context. Okay, when are you applying, are you having experience, or based on your educational qualification, all these things matter a lot. You can of course make slight changes here and there. Okay, so this is how you need to write a resume. Okay, but the examples which I have given you so far, students, are all related to non-technical job. I know that you people are still having that question in your mind, why are we taking examples? Of course those were the best examples I thought I should give. Now I'm going to show you all some sample resumes of students who have already completed their MCA in GIT. Okay, and their resumes I will show you so that you'll get an idea as to how you can write your resumes. Okay, now I'll take you through some sample resumes. Okay, I'll take the student Siddharth. Now, long back, he has completed his MCA. Now, why I am taking Siddharth's resume is because Siddharth was very proficient in web development, and he used to do something or the other. He was not a student who was only into academics. I think ever since he used to do his BCA, he used to take up small projects. He used to develop small websites, and he used to actually earn and learn kind of student. Okay, so if you look at his example, Siddharth A. Deshpande, below his name comes his address. Okay, then career objective. Now he has written a very generic. Now suppose, now why I am telling, now look at this example. Now often students don't know what to write as a fresher when they're applying for a particular job, or they are trying job, during campus recruitment, some company comes, you're not very sure which job you're applying, because when companies come in GIT, they don't tell you the job post. They're not telling you the post. Then what is it that you need to write for objective? It's very important. So what I used to tell my students is, write a statement wherein exactly what you want to do, what you want to be in future. You can give a very generic statement. But suppose after having experience of 2 years, you're trying to jump from one job to another job where you are very knowing what post you are applying, that time your statement has to change. Keep changing your resumes. Don't use the same resume after 2 years. Please don't do that. Okay, as a fresher, I used to tell my students to write a statement what they exactly want to be in their life. So he has written, actually I have edited, I used to edit, correct, and and then I am showing it to you. So to obtain a technical related position, because you're not very sure in the beginning. You really don't know. Companies come, you're applying for, but companies don't mention also. Usually on campus, this is what you can do. Okay, to obtain a technical related position with a prestigious IT company and exhibit my skills and talent towards the growth of the company. This is a very generic statement. So as I said, as an MCA student, you have to be very, very specific about your educational qualifications. So you can see here, he has a consistently, his marks are consistent. I'll tell you why I have asked the student to mention his 10th and 12th. Because as a fresher in Indian context, when any company comes, they ask for, they have a cutoff. They say that we want students to have 75% above, 75 and above throughout means from SSLC up to MCA. Now sometimes companies are asking for that. That's the reason why I had told this student to mention, because sometimes it is important. I told you, study the context, study the whom, where you're applying, what is their requirement. You have to consider all these things and then you have to write a resume. Because just now I told you that there is no need to mention SSLC PUC. But why I'm telling, why I had told Siddharth is because he has consistently got above 75 throughout SSLC to up to MCA. And companies were asking for that, and companies will ask for this criteria. They have a criteria as far as your marks are concerned. When any company comes here, they will definitely ask for that. So when you're writing your resume also, they will require, they need to know. And some companies, they see how consistent you are. Is there a sudden fall or a sudden rise in your percentage? If they find that in 10th you are 90 and suddenly in PUC you are 50, and again in BCA again you are 75 and MCA you are 80, if there is a drastic difference, there's every chance that you get they will not select you, because the companies look for people who are consistent. They don't mind if you are in 60s throughout, they don't mind if you are in 70s throughout, but if there is a drastic fall or rise in your percentage, there is every chance that you will not be selected. So since Siddharth had all these things, I asked him to write, because it was a good 10th also is good, 12th is okay, 77, hardly 3% difference is there. So, and companies were asking, because I remember he was trying for a job on campus. Many companies used to come and they were asking for that, and that was the time when he had consulted me. And then you see, as I said, he was a student who used to work, who had a lot of projects, so paid internship. So because he had paid internship, I said you have to mention it, Siddharth, because, and that to see, he had worked in .cod IT solution, not in any other companies. Okay, and he had worked on Google Map based projects called Point of Interest, wherein he was paid. So this would give him more opportunity to get selected, because already he was into development. Then comes the software skills. Now this is very important. You students have to talk about, when you're talking about software skills, you can uh, you can have a subdivision like what operating systems, what programming, and programming knowledge. Now you see here, there is programming skills and programming knowledge, because throughout your BCA MCA, you're learning C, you're learning C++, you're learning Java, you're learning PHP, you're learning JavaScript, so many technologies, but there is only one thing which you are a perfect. This boy was perfect. He had very good programming skills in PHP. So I told him, write which you are very good at as skills, and knowledge he had about all the other subjects. So you have to be very, very specific. If you write programming skills, .NET, Java, J2E, everything, and then they will ask you questions on that, and then you fail to answer, that will be, then they will ask, why have you written? Because you have written. No, see, very important. Huh? Please, this class is really very, very important. Actually, I should be taking this physically, but still I'm trying my level best to make you understand the importance of writing resumes. So be very, very specific. Don't unnecessarily give wrong information. You may be knowing many, knowledge is different, skills is different. I told you I will show you some more example, but this boy's example I took because he was only good at his skills. I mean, he had a lot of experience working with PHP, and that's the reason why he has written skills and knowledge separate. And then the projects undertaken as an MCA student is very important for you to mention what projects you are undertaken. Don't write projects which were very silly and very dummy type of project. Most of these students don't do good projects when they are there in their BCA. If it was a real-time project wherein you did an internship wherein for which you were paid, or a real-time project where people are still using it, do mention. So even when you're talking about your projects, do mention the project if it is really very good mentioning. Okay. So you can see when you're talking about the projects undertaken, you can talk about the title. Okay. And then what was the team size, what technology, duration, what was the responsibility, in the sense when you're doing in a team, you won't be doing the entire project. You will be assigned some task. What was that task? You have to mention. See, this is how an MCA, resume should be. Then you can see here, because he had done many projects, his resume is crossing one page because he has to highlight. Okay, and now he's working in a very good company, no doubt about that. Most of your seniors are very well settled. Even you will be very well settled. I assure you that. I know that. Okay, only thing is it just takes some time, but then you have to be very professional. You have to have the right attitude for everything in your life. If your attitude is good, everything will be fine in your life, believe me that. So this student has written about, because all these projects that he had undertaken were all real time projects, okay, wherein he has highlighted. This is how you have to. And then awards and achievements at the end. Okay, now when you're writing about awards and achievements, also try to write, specifically mention leadership skills, awards, achievements, leadership which are related to communication, leadership skills, and technical skills. So here you can see bagged first place for rapid application development. So this is technical achievement. You can see stood first in college, scoring 87 in BCA, best boy award, then icebreaker, like that. You can do mention, but please don't mention things which are irrelevant, which will not help you to get a job. Okay, so awards and achievements also, if it is on the lines with your profession, that will help you to fetch a job. You maybe have achieved a lot of awards and achievements in hackathon or something related to programming, something related wherein you have showed your programming skills or your technical skills, then do mention that. And then at the end, again, the examples which I showed you previously were all different, but as an MCA student, at the end comes your personal details. Okay, what to write in our personal details? Only two important things: date of birth, okay, language is known, or if you have a passport, if the company feels that you may be uh, given a post, you may have to, they may expect you to go and join some other foreign countries and all. Definitely then the passport, whatever passport you have, that number or some information regarding the passport or your Aadhaar card number. Sometimes if they want to know you more, okay, in that case your Aadhaar card or PAN card number, these are the things that you can include if you want. But otherwise, date of birth and the languages that if you are a person who is proficient in 6 to 7 languages, please do mention, because people want the candidates or freshers to be placed in Hyderabad or in Chennai. These are, or Noida. All these are the places. And if you are very well proficient in Tamil, Telugu, all these things, that will add an added advantage. And if you know any foreign languages, also do mention. So this is one example of a MCA student's resume. I'll show you another one now. Okay, now this is resume for TCS. Okay, Pratima was at that time trying. She had come to me telling that there's a TCS placement coming, and she wanted to write a resume. Now this, if you see, format is almost similar to the previous one, but then she has mentioned BCA. Very important. You can use this style. Students, you can use this style. Okay, better to write soon after your name. It's better to mention your qualification, because sometimes if you're trying off campus and if you're sending your resume by post, and the company HR people will have a huge, you can say, sheaf of resumes on their desk, and they are looking for MCA graduates, and then every time they have to go to educational qualification and look for that. So if you just write BCA MCA, it becomes very easier for them to segregate. Okay, this can also be used by you people. So here, career objective: to obtain a position relevant to my qualification and skills in an esteemed IT company. She has given a generic statement. So here you can see she has not written BCA MCA, because if the company doesn't ask for you people to mention your percentage throughout, then don't mention. And sometimes the thing is, students most of the students who come for MCA, they don't perform well in PUC. their PUC marks are drastically, in 40% and 50%, then I recommend please don't write only in that. Don't go to mention. Better, best, only mention BCA and MCA. So see, she has written Gokte Institute of Technology, MCA in bracket completing in 2015, and then BCA percentage. Then she has she was a different kind of a candidate. Training sessions conducted, she had conducted some training. Okay, that's the reason she mentioned, in topics in PHP. Now this was a different kind of a girl. Pratima was totally a different kind of a girl. But then she mentioned that this is what I, because they used to come to me personally, talk to me, and then based on that I used to ask them to write. So as I said, your resumes also should be like that. Don't copy somebody has written, copy paste. It should not be like a cookie cutter, everybody having the same format, same thing, only you will change your percentages and marks. No, don't do that. Every student is different, every student's experience is different, skills are different, and knowledge that you have gained, certifications that you have gained, every person's experience, as I said, throughout is different, and based on that you have to decide what should go inside your resume, what should not go. So see, she was a girl who actually played a role of an assistant trainer, wherein she took the topics like PHP, MySQL, HTML, CS. That's why she mentioned it, because this would help her to fetch the job. Then again she divided her software skills, operating system, web technologies. She did not mention specifically like Siddharth, skills separate and knowledge, because she was not like very skilled in PHP or very much skilled in one particular language. No. So she has just mentioned web technologies, operating system, and programming knowledge. And then she has mentioned projects undertaken. She has only mentioned one proper one, because she felt this was a very good project. Like unlike Siddharth,